And he starts out very quickly, and left hand drops him.
Boxing, there are nights when destiny refuses to wait. Nights when the drama does not unfold over 12 rounds, but in seconds. When the opening bell is not the start of a battle, but the countdown to sudden destruction. The first round, so often a time for fighters to feel each other out, to measure distance, to find rhythm, can instead become the very last. And when it does, it leaves fans stunned, breathless, and haunted by the brutality of what they've just witnessed. The first round knockout is boxing at its most unforgiving. No chance to recover, no time to adjust, no path back once the punch lands. It is finality in its purest form. Careers can be defined by it, legends can be born from it, and reputations can be shattered by it. Tonight, we revisit the moments when the opening minutes of a fight became the end of a fighter's night, when the ring became the stage for merciless efficiency, and when history was made in the blink of an eye. This is the story of devastating first-round knockouts in boxing.
So when he gets in that kind of fight, he won't feel funny, and there's no test tonight, like I said. No test.
The first spotlight falls on Jermain Taylor, a young man whose rise through the ranks carried all the promise of a future star. At just 25 years old, Taylor stepped into the ring against Alex Rios, an opponent expected to test him, to stretch him into deeper waters. But boxing doesn't always follow expectations. The bell rang, the crowd settled in, and almost immediately Taylor struck with the kind of precision that sends shockwaves through an arena. A lightning-fast combination, delivered with youthful confidence and devastating power, dropped Rios to the canvas before the fight had even begun. Less than a minute into the contest, it was over. For Taylor, it was not just another win. It was a declaration, proof that his undefeated record was built on more than promise. For Rios, it was a reminder of the cruel reality of boxing. One mistake, one lapse, and the night ends before it has even begun. But boxing has always had its moments of sudden brutality, and the next came in even more shocking fashion. Even Baric versus Nicholas Givon was a matchup no one expected to be etched into memory, yet within mere seconds it transformed into one of the sport's most unforgettable finishes. The fighters touched gloves, the crowd anticipated a tactical battle, and then it happened. A single, clean left hand landed like a thunderclap. Givon crumpled to the floor, eyes blank, body heavy, as disbelief spread through the arena. The fight was over before most fans had even taken their seats. The knockout was so sudden, so absolute, that replays were needed to convince some that they had truly seen what happened. In less than 10 seconds, the promise of a contest had been reduced to a highlight that would live on forever. Sometimes, though, a first-round knockout is more than just a victory. Sometimes it is a glimpse into destiny. At only 18 years old, a red-haired fighter from Mexico named Canelo Álvarez was already undefeated, already whispered about as a rising star. Against Pinzón, he didn't just win, he announced himself to the world.
Mexicano, el Canelo Álvarez, tiene todo listo para dar inicio al combate. Suena la campana.
The fight began with Álvarez pressing forward, his youthful energy matched by an unsettling composure. And then came the flurry, precise and heavy, forcing the referee to step in. In that moment, those watching knew they were witnessing the beginning of something special. Canelo Álvarez would go on to become one of the most famous fighters of his generation, but on that night, in that first-round demolition, the seeds of greatness were visible for anyone paying attention. Across the world, another matchup promised to test the will of two unbeaten prospects, Paro and Brock Jarvis. In Australia, pride and bragging rights were at stake, and anticipation filled the air as the fighters squared off. But like so many first-round knockouts, expectations were swiftly shattered. Jarvis, aggressive from the start, walked into Paro's power. In a heartbeat, the fight was over. The roar of the Australian crowd was deafening as Jarvis lay stunned, victim to the merciless reality of the sport. A battle that was supposed to define two futures had instead ended in a blink, with one man's undefeated record intact and the other left to wonder how it had unraveled so quickly. And then came one of the most dramatic statements of youth in boxing. Ryan Garcia. Known for his speed, his charisma, and his massive following outside the ring, Garcia proved in the squared circle that he was more than hype. Against Miguel Carrizoza, the fight barely had time to breathe. Garcia, lightning fast.
Both guys now having their moments.
Oh! How quick was that? Less than 10 seconds into the fight.
Carrizoza was down, his senses scrambled. Less than 10 seconds into the contest, it was over. The referee counted, but there was no doubt. Garcia had arrived with one of the fastest knockouts fans had ever seen. The kind of finish that becomes viral in an instant, that spreads far beyond boxing's dedicated audience and cements a young fighter's reputation as must-watch television. But first-round knockouts are not always born of speed. Sometimes they come from body shots so savage that the opponent simply cannot continue.
And Thomas Delorme rolling around.
He is not getting up.
And you could see the...
Virgil Ortiz Jr. showed this against Thomas Delorme. From the opening exchanges, Ortiz targeted the body with vicious intent, and when the decisive punch landed, the sound alone told the story. Delorme crumpled to the canvas, writhing in pain, unable to beat the count. The crowd gasped at the sheer violence of the body shot. Ortiz walked back to his corner with the calm assurance of a man who knew he had delivered something extraordinary. For Delorme, the fight was over before he had ever gotten a chance to find rhythm. For Ortiz, it was another step in a journey toward becoming one of the most feared punchers of his generation. The history of boxing is filled with fighters who rose from the toughest environments, and Cornelius Bundrage was one of them. From the streets of Detroit to the bright lights of professional boxing, Bundrage had fought hard for every opportunity, but against Setu Powell, all his grit and resilience could not protect him from one of the fastest knockouts in the sport's history. The fighters barely touched gloves before Powell unleashed a left hand that sent Bundrage crashing down. It was over almost before it began, a moment so fast that many in the arena blinked and missed it. In less than 30 seconds, the fight had ended, and Powell had etched his name into history. For Bundrage, it was heartbreak. For fans, it was proof of how unpredictable, how savage boxing can be. The theme continued in brutal fashion with Isaac Hardman's demolition of Bohardis.
He's on.
Oh, that's too big. Oh, that is massive.
Sometimes knockouts come from combinations, sometimes from body shots, but this was raw power at its most destructive. From the opening bell, Hardman pressed forward, throwing with bad intentions. Hardis tried to fire back, but in doing so left himself open. A colossal right hand landed flush, and Hardis fell in a heap. The referee didn't need long to wave it off. The knockout was violent, emphatic, and unforgettable. Hardman had delivered a message. One strike was all it took to change the outcome of a fight. And then there are knockouts fueled by something deeper, by revenge, by the hunger to erase doubt. Roy Jones Jr. knew that feeling well. After a controversial first fight with Montel Griffin, Jones entered the rematch with fire in his eyes. There would be no waiting, no caution, no hesitation.
That first left hook hurt Griffin.
And so does the...
From the opening bell, Jones attacked with blistering speed, landing hooks and uppercuts that overwhelmed Griffin. A leaping left hook sent Griffin sprawling, his body betraying him as he struggled to rise. But the onslaught didn't stop. Jones unleashed another barrage, and within the very first round, the fight was finished. Redemption was his, vindication secured, the controversy of the first fight erased by the emphatic finality of a first-round knockout. Each of these moments tells the same story in a different way, the story of boxing at its most ruthless, its most spectacular. The first round is not supposed to be the end. It is supposed to be the beginning, the feeling out process, the search for rhythm. But when the right punch lands, all of that is thrown out the window. And when it happens, it creates moments fans never forget. From Jermain Taylor's youthful destruction of Alex Rios to Even Baric's lightning finish of Nicholas Givon, from a teenage Canelo Álvarez announcing his future greatness to Paro stunning Brock Jarvis, from Ryan Garcia's viral knockout to Virgil Ortiz Jr.'s brutal body shot, from Setu Powell's historic finish of Cornelius Bundrage to Isaac Hardman's devastating statement, and finally from Roy Jones Jr.'s redemption against Montel Griffin. Each fight is proof that in boxing, it only takes one moment to change everything. The opening bell is supposed to signal the start of a story, but in these fights, it was the beginning and the end. The countdown to glory or despair. The kind of moments that live forever in the highlight reels of boxing history. And so, as we reflect on these devastating first-round knockouts, we ask you, which one shocked you the most? Which of these brutal finishes do you remember watching live? And which fighter's performance left you in awe? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the breakdown, and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the most unforgettable moments in boxing history. Because in this sport, you never know when the end will come. Sometimes it only takes one punch.